Bright Signs Travelers.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in.
Welcome into Ethan Armitage. It's good to have you here, Ethan, and also Dean the Turkey Legster. I see that you just popped in. It's good to
Welcome
see
in.
you. This, guys, is we're really excited about this show. You know, this is one of
Oh yeah.
our favorite things to do is the Star Wars review and discussion. You know, we try to include Easter eggs and take you a
hmm
little, deeper dive into the storyline. Season 3 of The Mandalorian has begun, and in fact, we have 2 episodes up. We're going to review episode 1 today, and then we'll kind of stay a little bit behind it because give people the week
Yeah.
because not everybody jumps on it with both feet when it drops like we do. So,
Uh, yeah. I
so
was. I was a day or two behind. So yeah. I can relate this go around to anybody that had watched it yet.
right, right now, have you watched the second episode?
I've not. I've waited till after we do this review to watch the second episode.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Hey,
And
welcome
that's
in. Great to see
and Dean
you,
has,
Tina.
hey Tina. Dean is reminding you, please bop the like button. If you're new to our channel, by all means subscribe. Give us a subscribe. Take a look. We've got
Yes,
tons
please.
of videos. We have a playlist of past seasons for Boba Fett, The
And the
Mandalorian,
Mandalorian,
and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Kenobi.
So check those out. Check out our playlist. Catch up if you want to, and we'll be here every week. We may have to adjust next week's show. We'll let you know. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But
Yeah.
normally we'll be here Thursdays, same bat time, same bat channel.
hmm
Thursdays at 12 o'clock. Hey Tina, welcome in, Tina and Chuck. Okay, good to see you. And
Hey,
Michelle the
welcome in, Michelle
Quilter.
Quilter.
Oh, okay.
Sweet.
Michelle
Very
says,
cool.
Commander and Will, my husband and I have seen both episodes, and I have too, Michelle. I've seen both, but we're going to talk about the first
Thanks for
one.
being here.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks so much for popping in. We really appreciate it. Um, okay, do you want to set us up a little bit, William? We've got this is season 3, episode
hmm
1. This will be chapter 17. There are eight episodes in each season so far. So this is going to be chapter 17. The TV rating on these is TV 14. The director on this one is Rick Famuyiwa. It aired on the 1st of March. Uh, Much awaited, much anticipated,
hmm
and the runtime on this particular episode is 38 minutes. So, and
Yeah.
caution, guys, there are spoilers ahead.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We need them to
this
bump
this
those numbers
this
up on future episodes since we just get 8 episodes. So I need the I need the runtime to be over 45 minutes plus. Bump it up,
yes,
especially
yes. I think
since you
the second
usually
one, the
5 minutes
runtime
of
was
that is credits anyway.
that's true, and then
hmm
closing credits. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
so the next one is 45 minutes. So and
Good deal.
it's very noticeable when they give you 10 extra minutes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we
That's
go ahead
exciting.
and jump into this thing. Let's start with with like a little bit of a review.
Yeah. So just real quick, very, very abbreviated version. Grogu, we leave off the season 2 finale. Grogu decides to, go, has Mando's permission to go with Luke Skywalker, which again, I mean, the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian was just an absolute home run.
Yeah,
Um,
it
and so
was.
anyway, a lot of people jokingly referred to the Book of Boba Fett as Mandalorian season 2.5, because it does further the storyline actually.
It
And
does
so
quite a bit.
we got more information from Dave Filoni about the
Big time.
that Grogu spent training with Luke. He spent roughly 2 years training with Luke. So, with that recently came out within the last week or so. To clarify kind of the timeline of events. And so, essentially Mando, went back to what he knew, goes back to bounty hunting. Um, and, and pretty much, Luke can kind of tell that Grogu's conflicted. Obviously he misses Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. He's played a
Got
vital role in his
distracted a little
life.
bit.
The two have bonded. There's that sense of attachment that they really warn against a lot in the prequels, not having that attachment because it can lead you to make bad decisions. Is kind of the Jedi's policy, and so Luke can sense that attachment that Grogu has for Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. So anyway, Mando has some, just kind of fast forward things a little bit. Mando has the armorer make a little little chainmail kind of shirt. Mom had likened it previously to Mithril from Lord of the Rings for any Lord of the Rings fans. And so anyway, had the
armor. It's like armor, like a shirt. It's like armor.
Yeah. So he had it. He delivered it to basically Ahsoka. Ahsoka was there whenever the Mandalorian showed up to the planet where Luke's Jedi temple was being established. And Mando, she essentially tells Mando, like you're gonna throw off his training, if he sees
visit. He goes to visit. Yeah.
And so anyway, so he drops it off, and then
now what we're talking about, guys, right now is Boba Fett. We're talking about the Book of Boba Fett. So you need to watch the last 3 episodes of the
there's a couple episodes. I think last couple
to be
episodes
fully
really
caught up. Yeah, to be fully caught up to where this starts.
And so Luke essentially leaves Grogu with the choice. You can either continue along the path of being a Jedi, or you can go back, return to the Mandalorian, and be a Mandalorian essentially. So he lays the two things out in front of him, Yoda's lightsaber and the Mandalorian's Beskar chainmail. So he ends up picking the Mandalorian, and so we fast forward, the two are reunited. Mando gets has to have a new ship. He visits Pelimanto, and back on Tatooine, visits Pelimanto, and she, it's kind of a junker. They have to get a lot of parts for it, lots of trading with the Jawas, and so anyway, it's it's a Naboo in one starfighter, which is really sick. Him taking it out for a test run, and
he kind of goes from the 57 Chevy to the 1980 Corvette.
Yeah, they restore it and then supercharge it essentially. And so anyway, it looks real slick. Obviously the Razor Crest had been destroyed by the Empire. But anyway, he's got a new sweet ride, and so
you're still mourning the Razor Crest, by the way.
Yeah, that's notable. But anyway, we fast forward a little bit. Mando has essentially been disfellowshipped by the Watch, the armorer. He reveals to the armorer that he removed his helmet, and so he's essentially been disfellowshipped. He's referred to as an apostate, which coincidentally is the title of this chapter, this episode. And so
the armorer tells him that he is a Mandalorian no more, because he is
interesting predicament to be in. That particular group of Mandalorians, the Watch, no longer considers Mando a Mandalorian, although he wields the Darksaber, which for some you would think would trump having removed his helmet. So which we'll talk more about that here in a minute. But anyway, we kind of fast forward. Really neat opening scene to this episode. Is there anything else you wanted to mention or review, Mom, before we jump into this one?
Not that I can think of. That's pretty much it. Just be sure to be completely caught up, guys, that you go and watch the last 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, because they are almost entirely a Mandalorian, and we get a ton of background information that sets you up to go immediately
Yeah.
into this.
Specifically related to the planet Mandalore. So,
Mhm.
and kind of the some of the practices of the creed. But yeah, we pick up this episode, a really neat intro. Kind of almost a Mandalorian. For the watch, this is the essentially like a baptism. Uptaking of the creed.
It
We
is.
see
Mhm.
that it starts off with the armor
Taking the oath, the Mandalorian
crafting
oath.
crafting a Beskar helmet. And seeing that it shaping it and everything, and banging
Which
it
is
with a
really cool. Yeah.
hammer, and then
Mhm.
doing the spray. It's a
Mhm.
blue, light blue helmet, and so
Mhm.
it's really neat looking.
Yeah.
And my initial thought for this scene was, is this, I was like, I know the armor is here, but we don't know if the armor is necessarily like, she doesn't have a name as far as we know. Like the actor's Emily Swallow, right?
Right.
Um,
Emily Swallow
but
plays the
you know,
armor brilliantly, I might add.
yeah, she's
She's
just been referred to
fantastic.
as the armorer, so I wasn't sure if that was just the designation or the actual character.
She
Um,
doesn't, they haven't given her a name per se.
uh-huh.
That's something that we could probably look up. But
Yeah.
in the show, they have not referred to her as anything other than
Uh-huh.
the armor.
And
So
so, really neat scene that they've got kind of these drums and all the a lot of the members of the watch are gathered there. You can see them, wearing different colors. It's cool to see this gathering of Mandalorians
it really
in
is.
live action, because this is,
Mhm.
aside from season one, I don't know that we've necessarily seen a gathering since then.
True. It's
So
true. A
and
covert.
they've the
It's
coverts
probably.
rebuilt their numbers. They were
Mhm.
greatly um,
Decimated. Oh,
decimated.
hello,
Yeah.
Molly.
Hey,
Mr.
welcome in. Good
Hawkins.
to see you, Molly.
Yeah, she's the armorer steps out onto this beach, and all of the Mandalorians are gathered, or a lot of them are assembled, including
Hmm.
younglings. And
Yep.
interestingly, there is a youngling wearing a purple helmet, which
Mm,
I was interested to see, because we know that there are female Mandalorians, and so that
hmm.
may be a little female Mandalorian. But uh, in addition to, we
Yeah, Purple
recognize
Herman makes me think Sabine Wren, but obviously that's not the
yeah,
timeline. Yeah.
right, it does. And so we're, and we're not sure about the timeline yet. We're not sure
Yeah.
about when this takes place. Paz Vizsla is present on the beach, and he's played by none other than John Favreau, and he is there. So it's really, check this scene out, guys. Look at this scene a little closer, because it's really neat, and it's a chance to see many Mandalorians assembled
Yeah.
together, and we're just about to figure out. Now, I personally thought that this initially thought this was a throwback to when Din Djarin
So that
took
was
the
what my
oath
immediate thought was too.
of the
But
Mandalorian.
it's
The young
not.
man's, yeah, but it's not,
Yeah.
as we'll soon find out. But the young man's name is Ragnar,
Mm,
uh, who is the kid who's standing kind of knee deep in the water to take
hmm.
the oath. He is played by Wesley Kimmel, who also played the young Tusken Raider in the
Oh,
Book of
cool.
Boba Fett,
Cool. That's
which is
neat.
really a cute kid. Yeah, so he plays Ragnar is the
Mm-hmm.
name of this one. So yeah, go ahead.
So, uh, as far as, and speaking of timeline, real quick, this story takes place 5 years after the Return of the Jedi, so after the Empire's fallen, and 25 years before the Force Awakens and the Last Jedi, which is 34 ABY.
Tina has a question. Quick
Mm-hmm.
explanation of the no Mandalorian males wearing purple. I've never seen
I figured they
any.
could if they wanted to.
They
I don't,
could. I mean,
you
you
know,
can wear whatever color you want, but
yeah.
obviously, my first thought was Sabine Wren as
A lot
well,
of,
because
if you rewind a bit
purple.
further, the houses typically wear certain colors.
Yes.
Um, And so that's, you kind of see that in
Hmm.
the Clone Wars and in Rebels also. Um, so
That's true.
let's see here.
Yeah.
All right.
Sabine Wren is
Hmm.
who will be in Ahsoka, the
Yeah.
series Ahsoka that's coming sometime in the fall, wears
Hmm.
purple. So that's
Yeah.
kind of why.
And we have more nods to Ahsoka in this episode, but
They
really,
do.
really neat scene. The kids taking up the creed. I'll never remove my helmet, and then the
The
ceremony gets.
recitation of the oath.
And so he's they're seemingly close to wrapping up the ceremony when it's interrupted by
Big
a
time.
a large crocodile thing.
Yeah.
I've yet to see this thing get a name.
No, and I looked it up. I
Uh-huh.
went on Wikipedia. Yes, Wikipedia is a thing. Guys, if you have any questions, it's a fandom website for Star Wars. If you have any questions, check it out on Wikipedia. And I couldn't find a name for this. Like, we have the Rancor, we have the Sarlacc. I didn't find a name. Maybe they'll give this guy a name, but he looks like a giant armor-covered alligator thing, crocodile.
It definitely looks big time prehistoric.
Yes. Yes, with armor, and it's got armor on it.
It's large too. The crate dragon was very big, and this is a large, alligator thing. So, anyway,
really
it comes out of the water, and it means business. It eats one of the Mandalorians. They all start trying to blast it. To no avail. Obviously, its skin's too thick.
Now that Mandalorian armor is basically that Mandalorians are basically covered head to toe in weapons. And so you have a whole beach full of these Mandalorians who are now trying to figure out how to take care of this creature that's interrupted this sacred ceremony. And at their lot of great. I watched this scene several times through. A lot of really good action. So. If anybody Monoceratop? Okay, Tina, did you find a name for this thing? Monoceratop? Where did you find that? Maybe that's it. Tina says Monoceratop is possibly the name of that thing. Jurassic Park meets Star Wars in this scene. Absolutely.
She just made it up. Yeah. Yeah, I'm good with that.
We need to tweet that to Dave Filoni and
yeah, give it a maybe be the one to name it.
We've got a name. There you go, Tina.
Yeah.
Monoceratop. I like it.
Mom, you had made a side note here in the helmet sequence before the episode airs. You had mentioned something here in the notes.
Yes, and the icon has been a title sequence in the helmets. You know how they go through all the different helmets. IG-11's helmet has been added there, and then we also have like a recap sequence to kind of catch you up a little bit. It's not real detailed, but it gives you just some flashes of different scenes. IG-11, the scene where he sacrifices himself, blows himself up, so that everybody gets away from Moff Gideon. Grief Cargo tells Mando that Navarro has changed. The scum and villainy have been washed away, and they're respectable now. Mando meeting bo-katan for the first time, when she calls him a child of the Watch. The Armorer telling Mando that he is a Mandalorian no more. Again, a scene from the Book of Boba Fett, and that he has to atone. He has to wash, bathe in the living waters beneath the mines of Mandalore in order to atone and be considered part of the Mandalorian again. So that's just some of the notes there that I have. Did I lose them?
No.
Okay.
So yes, all the Mandalorians go to fight this large creature. To no avail. They try blowing it up. It seems to hurt it a little bit, but it's still doing lots of damage. Like I said, it eats one of them. Another one, the person kind of gets stepped on, kind of swept up under the water. The armorer goes and bails him out. And then the armorer gets smacked, and the little boy goes to defend the armorer, it's completely unarmed. Goes to stand between the beast and the armor, which Paz Vizsla, jetpacks in and knocks him out of the way and starts to fire. They're the whole time they're all shooting at it. Yeah, lots of action. Neat scene.
And nothing really phases it. I mean, even those little round, they're not thermal detonators, but they're the little round flat explosive devices that we've seen them use before in the Mandalorian. They take to the air and they put those, slap those things on his armor, and it's so thick that it really doesn't make a dent. So they're not having a whole lot of success.
No.
They haven't found a soft spot on this dude yet, and it's just mayhem, but great action scenes. Lots of good,
super cool. And then someone rides in to save the day. Mando flies through on his in his Naboo N1 starfighter with Grogu in tow.
Hear the theme, you hear the theme, and
so it's I love that. I love the Mandalorian's theme, and so anyway, he fires a couple blasts out of his starfighter. And turns that thing on its side and blows some of the guts out that flop up on the beach, and he kind of goes and he lands the ship, and it's just kind of a
dispatches the monoceratop without any
with extreme prejudice. He parks his ship, and then you see Grogu kind of pop up there in his little compartment where the droid would be.
And all the Mandalorians are like standing on the beach, like, okay.
Yeah, it's a big time mic drop moment, because you have to remember again, he's not looked upon fondly by these Mandalorians, but
he's been disfellowshipped.
Yeah, you've got to give him his due. So super cool scene. He just kind of.
He's still a Mandalorian. He's still Din Djarin.
He saves the day. To which
it's great.
Great. To which we cut to a scene. The armor, is next to the forge, and she reminds him. She says, she says, you're a Mandalorian no more. Kind of a,
it's like she's chastising him for being there. It's like, well, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think the word you're looking for is thank you.
Right.
After I just bailed y'all out big time. But anyway, she sticks to her guns.
She does.
And so
she is all business. We have never seen the armor waver from all business. She is there is no, there's no humor or anything. Nope. She immediately dresses him down, which is interesting since he just pulled their butts out of the fire, from the alligator monster thing. Yeah. And it's really kind of cool. And so they immediately jump into the dialogue. She says, basically, you're a Mandalorian no more. What the heck are you doing here? So.
Yeah. Since, and Mando, kind of, she tells him it's even worse. Yeah, Dean said, you removed your helmet. Yeah, she reminds him that he even did it of his own accord. It's not like it was pulled off by an enemy. He removed it of his own accord. So that's a great point there, Dean. And so, basically, Mando says, like, I could still be reinstated, essentially. I could still be redeemed.
The Mandalorian creed teaches of redemption, he reminds her. And of course, we all remember, guys, just to cover that, he removed his helmet in order to allow Grogu to see what he looked like when Grogu was leaving with Luke. It was that tender, tear-jerking moment that we all love so much. And Grogu touches his helmet, and Din Djarin realizes he's never looked upon Grogu with his own eyes.
Yeah.
And so he voluntarily takes his helmet off and reveals himself to everybody on the bridge there. Unless they were standing behind him. But basically he does it for Grogu, and he does do it as of his own accord. But
Yeah.
all of us are thinking, oh, but it was for such a good cause. So,
Well, it's funny too because you think about it. He removed it the first time with IG-11, which IG was not a living thing, and then the next time he removes it is whenever it's in the the episode with Bill Burr's character.
yes, yes.
I want to say The Prisoner, but I don't think that's right.
No, it's
Here,
from the second
yeah,
season.
it's later. So he, oh man,
For some reason I don't have his name.
and anyway, he removes it then because they're in a jam, and he doesn't really have much choice. And so basically, Bill Burr's character tells him, yeah, I didn't see anything. Is essentially what he tells him.
He does. He has removed it twice now. Yeah. But both times it was to save the kid. I mean, he is all in. He's all in for the kid, for this kid.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna, he's told by the armor, you're a clan of two, and so he knows that he has to see this thing. He has to see this thing through. Mayfeld.
Yeah, Mayfeld. That's right.
Is his name.
Yeah. I don't know why I can't remember his name. Great character. I would love to see him at some point.
I want to see him
in this new season.
Yeah, we could really delve into his character, which we did, in that episode. But we could really delve into his character a lot. Very complex, very interesting character who we first hate, and then we really kind of gain some respect for when we see him again in the second episode. But
so yeah, he's he removed his helmet that caused the issue. In order for him to be reinstated essentially as a Mandalorian in the eyes of this group of Mandalorians, he has to go bathe in the waters below the mines of Mandalore, which the armorer says reiterates that that's not possible. Mandalore, they were destroyed in the purge.
Well, they think that Mandalore has been poisoned, completely decimated. During the purge, during the Night of 1,000 Tears, when because the Mandalorians would not submit to the Empire, they destroyed it. It was called the Night of 1,000 Tears, and they also call it the Purge. And they think that it's basically just been turned to ash, that it's crystallized. It's inhabitable. They think that the atmosphere is poison at this point. And it's when he asks about the mines, and the armor says that they were destroyed in the purge, but Din Djarin produces something for her to take a look at.
Piece of evidence. It's kind of a crystallized, inscribed relic that he says that it's not Mandalorian, it's interesting because
she's kind of surprised.
Yeah,
because
you can tell by her body language that she's shocked by this.
Yes.
Not overly shocked by this, but of any we've never seen her react like that to anything.
Right. To her eyebrows raised. We can't see. We know that. And
so Mando says that he got it from some Jawas who had traded it. Somebody claimed to have found it on Mandalore, which again, they assume that Mandalore's the planet's atmosphere has been poisoned, so that's why they don't make any efforts to try and go and re-inhabit it again.
But no, apparently nobody's checked it out. So
So Mando says, basically, if I bring you back proof that I've that I've gone and bathed in the waters in the mines, believe Mandalore, that I can be seen as a Mandalorian again, and it's kind of cute too because it's she looks down at Grogu for some reason after he says this, and it's like who could say no to that face? And so she just says, "This is the way."
Come on, Mom.
And so next they're traveling. We see them back in the Starfighter.
She says, she finally says, "This is the way." He has
if we're going by the book here, that's what the book says.
That's what the book says.
And that's what this group's all about.
Okay, if you do it and you bring me back proof that you bathed, this is the way. So
And I do wonder, why Mando seeks validation from this group. Obviously, he's got the Darksaber. There are other individuals that he's come into contact with.
Oh, John,
Hey, welcome in, John. There are other individuals that he's come into contact with. Initially, he was a child of the Watch. He didn't know anything else. Obviously had found his way as a bounty hunter, but he's made other relationships with people that are not Mandalorian. And even some Mandalorians that are not part of the Watch. He's come to know, and so it's interesting that he continues to seek validation from this group.
Yeah. He knows that there are other sects.
Yeah,
but this is his group. This is his.
You've got bo-katan's Night Owls. That that we had seen her with when he first meets her on Mon Cala. And so anyway, we cut to a traveling sequence, which I think is kind of cool because in the movies typically we see things happen so fast. They're in they're in hyperspeed, and boom, they're wherever they we're trying to get to. And so it's interesting to see that they're obviously traveling far enough along to where Mando's taking a little nap, sneaking in.
It's cool because you can actually see them traveling through hyperspace, and it's like a calming. Anytime they show us this, it's really cool because it's a calm thing, and Mando is napping, and of course the baby's awake. Grogu is just wide-eyed in wonder, looking around and sees something really special out the window.
So yeah, for people who have not watched Rebels, which again we would highly every time we bring it up, we highly recommend Star Wars Clone Wars animated series, The Bad Batch, and also Star Wars Rebels. We highly recommend each of those animated series because they're very good. But anyway, for anybody who hasn't seen Rebels and hasn't watched enough Rebels to have come across these critters yet, they're basically like giant space whales. With kind of like
graceful.
Yeah, with kind of like octopus tails coming off of them.
They're called purrgil.
Yeah. And so, we see in Star Wars Rebels, which is an obvious nod to Star Wars Rebels, and it's an obvious foreshadowing of.
How do you wait, John? How are you waiting? Sarcom says he's gonna wait until it's finished and binge watch. I can't do that.
I couldn't do it either. The thing is, there are too many spoilers that come out.
I admire your restraint.
You have to watch stuff sooner because the Star Wars page posted a clip and some pictures from this episode, and so you can't even trust the social media pages.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, we see this giant whale, kind of octopus looking thing, flying. A few of them flying around as Mando and Grogu are traveling in the ship. We see
and of course
Grogu
knows that these purrgil have helped. The first time we see them, they actually help Ezra, who is a young Jedi in Star Wars Rebels. These creatures inhale Clausen 36 gas to breathe in space and travel through hyperspace. So they are friendly, to and Grogu seems to know what they are. He seems to be familiar with.
Yeah, he definitely seems to detect something that is special about them.
Yes.
And so,
and who knows, but what they're not somehow, it seems to me like they may even have a connection through the Force.
Yeah.
That they're communing somehow.
Yeah.
Because he puts his hand, up and he's making the little cooing noises, and he definitely, if he doesn't make a direct connection with them, which I think he probably does, he is admiring them and thinks they're very graceful.
This is an obvious tie to Rebels. Yeah. It's an obvious tie to Rebels, and then also it's a foreshadowing of basically what some of the things that we're going to see in the Ahsoka show. So, which again comes later this year, sometime in the fall. So it's a really neat scene, really neat Easter egg for those that have seen Rebels to see this brought to live action.
Oh yeah.
But Mando, it's also cute too because Grogu climbs out of his little, the droid slot of the Naboo N1 starfighter, crawls into Mando's lap, and Mando's still sleeping, and he's sitting there holding him, so it's really cute.
Yeah.
They go in to arrive on Navarro, which I guessed it was Navarro. With the flyover view.
It looks a little different though.
Oh, it does. Yeah, I mean it's
a little bit different.
it's big time. They've definitely gone straight. As Grief would say. Yeah, they're reputable.
They're respectable.
The city is flourishing. The community's flourishing. We see kids. Mando, says, "I'm here to, see an old friend." Or talk about old times, and
there's even a band in the marketplace. There, people
kind of folksy music.
Selling, and people, it's prosperous. The buildings are, it just looks like a thriving, prosperous a town, which is not at all how it was first introduced to us. It was full of scum and villainy, and with the Empire presence there when we were first introduced, and so it's changed a lot under the close and watchful eye of now High Magistrate Grief Karga.
And I told my buddy, I said, when you're in charge, you can come up with whatever title you want. Want to have. So we've got High Magistrate Grief Karga,
and he's doing a good job. So
the marketplace is thriving and everything. We see in the middle of town, seemingly we see a statue dedicated to IG-11, which is pretty cool.
We're headed into a lot of the humor scenes, which I absolutely loved. And there's been a statue erected, and they've taken all the parts from IG-11 where he self-destructed, and the parts that they didn't recover, they've kind of filled in, with parts. So IG-11 is there, in the middle of the marketplace, and it's just an homage to his sacrifice and freeing the planet from the influence of the Empire, which is he's due it. Anyway, it's a selfless act. So they've erected this statue to him. But I thought it was really funny. And as they approach it, Mando looks at Grogu and says, "Do you remember your friend IG-11?" Of course, he does.
It's the town looks great. It's thriving. Lots of different aliens, kids playing in the streets. The little folksy band playing.
It's fun.
Food. Street merchants. Yeah, it's very nice. They've progressed a lot since since we first see Navarro in episode 1 of the Mandalorian.
And so Grief Karga, approaches while they're standing at the statue, and he is just in regalia.
It's great. I love his outfit.
He looks fantastic.
He really does.
The costuming is so great. Again, shout out to our costumer. I'll have to look her name again, but
he has droids carrying the tail of his robe.
He does. Yeah, he has like these droids on either end of his cape to keep it from touching the ground. They're really cute.
It's the best.
Fantastic. How old did we say that Carl Weathers is?
I think he's 75. I want to say
75.
I think so.
Carl Weathers. Oh my gosh, he looks fantastic. Obviously, the man still works out. With he's just an older Apollo Creed.
75.
He's 75.
Yeah, his birthday was in January.
Yeah, he looks fantastic.
Yeah, he does.
So he looks good, and he comes out in all the High Magistrate, and it's important to add the High Magistrate in there, not just Magistrate, as we find out a little bit later. But he looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And he's doing a good job. I mean, he's brought
Mm-hmm.
prosperity
Yep.
to Navarro, and he's proud of what he's done. He's
Yeah.
taken,
They've
so it's
become
great.
an important, member of the trade route, and they've, they're really, the Navarro's thriving, under his leadership.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Grief Karga for president.
Yeah. So, a Grief kind of, is kind of wanting to, shoot the breeze a little bit, but Mando's kind of all business. And so anyway, they go back to his office, and so, they're talking about everything, kind of catching up on how things are going. Grief is talking about, how the planet is thriving and everything, kind of explains how all that's going, and even tells, Mando, he's like, I could cut you in basically, there's a nice place, I could give you a nice place out near the flats.
Yeah, got a nice little parcel, brings up a hollow, oven and says, this is, Grief Karga really has a lot of respect for Mando. He's really hoping that he will stay with him. And so he offers him this prime real estate, and says you can hang up your blaster and, you
live off the fat of the land.
Live off the fat of the land. And I'm thinking, oh boy, it sounds
a good deal.
pretty tempting to me.
It's quite the retirement plan.
Offers him a job, later on, and Mando is still not able to take him up on it, but he sure does try to sell it. Now, I will have to say, it's at this point that they show the scene that they did for the trailer, where you see Grogu is using the Force to spin himself like any kid would do in the chair, and he uses the Force to take candy off of Karga.
Yeah, it looks like a little red M&M.
Counter. It's really,
pulls it off the bowl on his desk.
While they're talking, but I did think that because of the interaction that they had when Grief Karga last saw Baby Yoda, because he at that point they didn't even know his name. And Mando says his name is Grogu. I think that I was hoping for more affectionate interaction there. We called him Grandpa Grief. And I think he is just so full of business. He's just so full of trying to sell Mando and look at everything we've done. He's so excited that he doesn't really interact the way I want him to with Grogu. I want him to be more grandparent-ish, more Papa Grief.
Do the magic hand things, baby.
Right. Because remember, he said, that's how he won Grief Karga. That's how, Baby Yoda won Grief over, is he saved his life. He healed him. When the poison bat things scratched him, he was as good as dead, and Baby Yoda at the time healed him. So anyway, he's distracted, and I hope they'll kind of go back and reestablish that, revisit that relationship. But it's a great scene. It's
Grief said, confused. He's like, I thought you'd finished your quest, and he's like, well, it's complicated. He's like, but you're still traveling around with the same little critter. And he's like, well, he gives a really good quick summary, honestly. He's like, I returned him to his kind, and he came back to me. I removed my helmet. Now I'm an apostate.
And the very Reader's Digest
big time
version. Louise from Ant-Man. This is what happened. Just very concise.
Very concise bullet points. So he says, I'm an apostate, need to redeem myself. Grief again reminds me, is like, if you stay, you'd be landed gentry. So anyway, it's Mando is fully dedicated to redeeming himself at this point, in the eyes of the Watch. And so let's see, the next scene we cut to is we have Pirate Vane, a weequay, similar
marketplace,
similar to Hondo Anaka, but Pirate Vane, a weequay, is waiting outside for Grief Karga. He works for Pirate King Gorian Shard.
And we've heard him mentioned before.
Uh-huh.
So he's
And
one of
so,
the pirates essentially
yeah,
who was in the, who was on Navarro and kind of, shoot 'em up style and just doing whatever they wanted to
hmm
without any law and order when we
yeah,
first saw the planet.
yeah,
And so they're back and they're
yeah,
standing outside what is now the school, but was once the
the bar.
cantina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting too. Is like I'm still holding out that at some point, maybe it'll be in the Ahsoka show. I'm still hoping at some point we see a live action Hondo Anaka. They
Yes.
showed pirates and made mention of
Yes.
pirates. Um, I'm still hoping we see Hondo Anaka. The kicker is they're going to have to do like Cad Bane in that they've got to use his name escapes me. They have to use Jim Cummings as the voice because Jim
Oh
Cummings
man. Yeah.
is Hondo Anaka. So
Yep. Yep.
hopefully at some point we see Hondo brought to the screen. But again, they have to use it. I mean they can't
Oh
not
yeah.
use Jim
Yeah.
Cummings'
They
voice for
will. They
Hondo.
will.
So
I trust John Favreau. He'll make it real for us. But yeah, they have to do it. And
yeah.
this would have been cool to see Hondo Onaka here. I think at some point we will see him. They might not quite be ready for that yet,
Yeah.
but it would have been cool.
These guys are causing problems. They say, we want to go in and have a drink. Like, well, you can't. Grief tries to be the diplomat.
He does.
But I'd love
Quite well,
this.
I might add.
Yeah. Oh, he does. He said, I can bring you drinks. You can go somewhere else. But
let's drink to your boss.
Yeah.
Let's go somewhere else. Come back to my office. This is a school now. Come back to my office. He says, we can drink to your boss.
Yeah.
And the pirate in expected pirate fashion says, no, this is a bar. Bring me a drink here.
Yeah.
And so, it's with Grief, it's High Magistrate Grief, it's okay, I'll be nice until it's time to not be nice anymore.
Yeah. He may present himself well, but make no mistake, he's packing. He's got the blaster there strapped to his thigh. Just because he's the leader doesn't mean he's gone soft by any stretch of the imagination.
And I love it.
So I love that too. Mando's kind of there watching this all go down, basically asking, do we have a problem here? He's ready to step in also. And Grief shows he's fully capable of handling himself. And so
he does. Because there's it comes down to basically we go back to the Western, which which I love that Dave Filoni and John Favreau are sticking to the Western thing. And he basically gets out of the way. He is in fact packing. And we're about to have an old-fashioned showdown here, a gunfight
in the street,
which is really cool. And in typical fashion, Mando's kind of leaning up against a tree, watching all this to interject when he feels like he needs to. And so it gets to a point, and he says, "Do we have a problem here, Magistrate?" And Grief looks at Pirate Vane and says, "I don't know. Do we?"
Yeah.
And that's when they kind of face off, and you get the Western vibe. It's so great. You get that
I
beautiful score.
love it too. I love it too. See, I love that. He says, basically, we're not doing this in my school. Like, this basically this is my town.
My school. Yeah. Grief loves this. I mean, he is High Magistrate. And he's not just a figurehead.
Yeah.
He is ready to defend what he has built and to defend these people. He's a good leader.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with Grief. Tina says, I hope he's another Lando. And I think we're kind of past that. And Lando, came around and was trustworthy. But
Yeah.
I think
I've
we're
altered the
100%.
terms of the deal. Pray I don't alter them further.
Yeah,
Man, Lando didn't have much choice, quite frankly.
that's right. That's right.
He sold them out, but I mean, it was either sell them out or die.
Yeah,
And
so that was it.
yeah,
Yeah,
Vader's no joke. I'm going
yeah.
to assume that Grief is not facing, as serious a threat as Lando is facing.
Ooh, yeah. And
Which, again,
Grief
Lando's
has
character
proven
redeemed
himself
himself. So
at
yeah,
this point.
yeah,
He's gone from
heading up the bounty
bounty
guild.
hunter,
Uh-huh.
heading up the bounty hunters guild to the respectable high magistrate in in a matter of a couple of years. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I love that he is such a strong leader.
Yeah.
And that with all the pomp and circumstance and the
Oh,
outfit and the robes and the whole
yeah.
deal, he's still got a sidearm, y'all.
Uh-huh.
Hey,
Yeah.
nothing replaces
Yeah.
a good blaster at your side. So
Yeah.
he's got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And has to use it.
Yeah, we definitely. Yeah, we know where you're coming from, Tina. That's a good thought. To keep in mind in the event something does happen. That's a good thought to keep in mind for sure. So yeah, it's they have the the shootout in the street, showdown in the street, and Grief blasts. Doesn't blast the guy. He doesn't blast Pirate Vane. He shoots the blaster out of his hand, which is in my mind even more.
Great.
It's if you're pulling the glove off and slapping somebody in the face, that's it's one thing to blast them and they're dead. It's another thing to blast the gun out of their hand so they can't even try to shoot you back.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's kind of insult to injury.
So he doesn't kill him.
No,
he doesn't kill him. He is still yes, the diplomacy is coming at the end of a blaster, but he doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
So
also in true pirate fashion, the others that are with Pirate Vane try to interject and try to intervene. Because I mean, pirates, it's just like a Pirates of the Caribbean. Will Turner says he says you cheated, and Jack Sparrow says pirate. And so anyway, they try to cheat, and Mando drops the rest of his posse.
That's true. We get some definite Jack Sparrow vibes, especially a little bit later on. So we're going to continue in the pirate vein.
Let's see here. Yeah, so he leaves Vane alive to tell the tale. Take it back to your boss. Navarro's not down for all this scum and villainy. And,
Mando basically pulls on him and kills everybody except Vane. He blows them away. He doesn't have a choice because they're obviously not backing down.
Yeah.
And so Mando drops them and says, "Are you sure you want to let him go?" And Karga says, "Yeah, he'll let his boss know that Navarro is no longer friendly to pirates, that we are respectable now, and basically leave one of them alive to tell the tale." Is more pirate tactic there. But he lets him go. He says, get out of here, Vane. Yeah.
Grief tells Mando he needs a marshal, which obviously, the last marshal of Navarro that we saw was Cara Dune, which obviously, we know those of us who followed the news related to her character, at Gina Carano, the actor, obviously, fracture, between that relationship. And the other thing too is she had been offered the job with the New Republic.
Yes.
And so,
she was marshal of the, with the New Republic there for a while.
And so, anyway, she was recruited, brought by Special Forces after bringing in Moff Gideon, and Gideon was sent to a New Republic war tribunal. So, it's a bummer. We knew this was coming since she, obviously it would have been news if they, had brought her back.
And so, I think I heard that Jon Favreau really, really lobbied, and Disney wouldn't budge on that.
Mm.
This I think is a huge mistake on Disney's part to let Gina Carano go, because she is such a fantastic character in The Mandalorian, and favorite to many.
Yeah,
I know you're a huge fan.
And BTW, it's Women's History Month, and The Mandalorian has done a great job of establishing strong women characters in this series, and
they're real. They're not patronizing.
Yeah,
as a woman, I know when I'm being patronized. I know when I'm being patted on the head, and this is supposed to make you feel good.
Yeah,
The Mandalorian has brought us real. Characters, real. Strong female characters.
Yeah, it doesn't feel forced. They've shown on screen their character arcs and the way they've established these characters. You got Fennec Shand, you've got bo-katan, you've got Cara Dune. None of those characters were felt forced at all.
Oh no, no, they're legit.
And so anyway, they did a great job. Presenting the characters to make them look strong. And so, we saw this coming. She's her character is still alive. And so, I mean, maybe at some point down the road they could reconcile. Who knows? But anyway,
I hope see her again. I think it would. I think the fans would love it. I know I would love it.
Yeah,
I really miss her on this. I think that Disney should have backtracked on it. So we'll hopefully we'll see her again, because she is so brilliant at that role.
And Jon Favreau has already apparently finished writing. Hey, welcome in, Angela. Thanks for being here. Apparently, Jon Favreau's already finished writing season 4. So I do think that they have a plan in place, which I think is fantastic. I've said since the start, don't jump the shark. Let's keep the quality high, tell the story you want to tell, and then ride off into the sunset.
There you go.
That's what I'm hoping for, and it's reassuring to know that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, the others in charge, have a plan for where they want to see the series go.
Yes.
So
yes.
So anyway. So it's a bummer that her character's gone, but hey, it's still open ended, and so there was talk of her getting her own series at one point, also. So, who knows what could happen at some point? We'll see. But Mando, or Grief, essentially offers Mando the job,
right?
And Mando says, I've got other business to take care of. Essentially, I'm here. I need a droid to help me explore Mandalore, a droid I can trust. And he wants IG-11 back, which obviously IG is currently captured in statue in the middle of town. So it's real funny too, because they show after they pulled off the parts that they could find, he's like, we're lucky to find any parts. I mean, he self-destructed, a thermal detonator that came out of his torso and exploded and blew up all those stormtroopers. It was.
So it's so funny, because they basically stripped the statue and all the original parts. The statue is like standing there with legs, and all the original parts of IG-11 are gone, which is so funny. And then they cut to this, surgical bay.
Yeah, basically trying to put him back together.
They're slash, mechanics shop, and they hotwire him and and they power him on. Now I had thought of this.
I thought about this too as they were doing it.
As they're powering it on, I'm thinking, okay, are we going to get good IG-11 or bad IG-11? Because Kuil, we know that Kuil reprogrammed him to be a good IG-11.
R.I.P. Kuil. And the other thing I was going to mention, doesn't anybody in this show stay dead? Because Fennec was shot. Boba had been resurrected as part of the Mandalorian.
That's true.
Cobb Vanth, also, not dead.
Bob, yeah, not dead.
We saw him in the back to tank.
Not
And
dead.
so,
Yeah, and it's apparently getting run through with lightsabers
yeah.
or
And so,
falling from ridiculously high planes
uh-huh.
doesn't kill you. You can
Yeah.
survive it in Star Wars, and
So,
I love it because I'm not complaining. I'm not
yeah.
complaining.
So anyway, it's essentially IG kicks back on and goes straight into kill mode, and it's his objective was to bring the child in dead. I mean, it was to get the child
Yeah.
originally.
He reverts back to, and he says, he says all of the things that he said when he was hunting the child. The child must be destroyed. Blah blah blah. And
Yeah.
it's like broken. His memory circuits are just coming back, and so it's like broken. But he accesses when he was a bounty hunter, and he was hunting the child. And so he goes after the child, and everybody panics, in the room because it's bad IG-11, the bounty hunter, and not good IG-11, the nursemaid. And so IG-11, who at this point has no lower body, falls off the table and is like, in Terminator style, trying to reach Grogu, and everybody's panicking and blasting him and what have you. It's not having a whole lot of effect.
Yeah, Mando tosses the baby to Grief.
He does.
It's so funny too because the most unlikely figure in the room is the one that takes out IG to stop it.
Right.
It's like you've got
no weapons.
Yeah, and so Grogu has the Force. Grief has his blaster. Mando has his stuff, and of all the things to stop IG-11, it ends up being the bust. This statue, head and shoulder statue of Grief, High Magistrate Grief Karga, which is also funny because earlier in the episode he says Magistrate Karga, and he says High Magistrate Karga. He really has to remind him of his title, which is really funny.
High Magistrate Karga.
But High Magistrate Karga's bust gets knocked over by the protocol droid to smash IG, and so and then Mando with just the best possible dry humor statement of what just to summarize what just happened. He tells him again the bust falls on IG to stop him, and Mando says, "Now that's using your head." Which got a really good laugh out of me because again Mando's not the one to make jokes like that, so it's extra funny to hear that from his character.
Yeah, don't get a whole lot of humor from him, but that it was really fun. It was a fun scene. And it was funny. It was really funny that the protocol droid knocked over this bust of High Magistrate Karga to kill IG-11. It's like everybody panics in the mood. Okay, everything's okay. So it's cute.
Yeah, it's funny. It's it goes from. Oh, it's funny. Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna say that Mando is still determined to fix IG-11. He has not given up.
I mean, it was a significant part of his character. He didn't trust any droids. And then IG changed that. He became more tolerant of droids, but yeah, I mean, it's the amount of trust that he puts in IG-11 is so it goes so far as to wanting to essentially resurrect him. So
yeah, he does. Yeah, so, and initially way back when Mando doesn't trust droids at all, doesn't like them. If you recall. And especially didn't like IG-11 because he is a bounty hunter droid that was trying to kill Grogu, and IG-11 won him over. Of course, IG-11 saved his life with the bacta spray. When they were up against it there with the Empire, but anyway,
it gets better. It gets even better because they, it's like, well, can anybody fix it? And so, Grief essentially, it's like, well, there may be some, and so there's droid
Yeah.
smiths. So
Yeah.
we get to see some characters. One of the, I guess, best parts of the sequel, the Disney trilogy that came out most recently, Force Awakens, Rise of Skywalker,
Hmm.
Last Jedi. In Rise of Skywalker, we're introduced to the little fuzzy character Babu Freak. He's a
Hmm.
really funny little guy. He's hey,
Oh yeah.
and so
Yeah. They're
he's
funny.
anyway. It's a
Anzelans.
really cute character.
Called Anzelans. His
Yes.
race is Anzelans. If y'all remember, Babu Freight, really fun little character. And
Hmm.
they're
He
apparently
fixes
they're
C-3PO in
yeah they're
in Rise of Skywalker.
yes, and their forte apparently is mechanics.
Hmm.
So Grief suggests that they take IG-11 to the Anzelans to see if they can they can put him back together. And it's really funny because you recall the Anzelans are
They're
really short,
tiny. Yeah.
tiny. They're like this
They're
tall.
they're yeah they're
Uh,
yeah they're like I don't know how tall they actually are, but they're tiny little critters.
yeah,
And so
they're
obviously
short.
their dwelling place, the place,
It's
their little
little.
shop is also tiny.
Right. So their shop
There's
is
like a little doggy door to get into
little.
their shop.
It is. And the scene is hilarious because Mando is somehow inside the shop and he's like sitting cross-legged, up against the ceiling, and
Hmm.
they've got IG-11 laid out horizontally. But what's so funny is that Grief is he's like on his knees looking through the bay door
Yeah.
and he's trying to, it's so
Oh, the
funny.
physical comedy in this scene is so funny with Grief,
Really
like
cute.
trying to interpret, what the Anzelans are saying, to Mando, and like he's like kneeled down talking through like a doggy door.
Uh,
It's just super funny. There's
it
a lot
is.
of physical humor, physical
It
comedy in this
really
scene.
is. This is a fun scene. And guys, go ahead and we recommend this. Go ahead and uh,
Subtitles.
uh, turn on the subtitles so that you can see what's being said because the little Anzellan has some really funny lines. And if you can't, if you don't catch all of it, you miss a lot. So
Uh-huh.
the Anzellan is like, trying to fix IG-11, and he has some really funny lines. He
Hmm.
says, no, can't fix him, and finally he says, I don't have a memory chip for him, or the chip needed to make him work. And he says, buy new droid. This one is poodoo.
It
P-O-O-D-O-O.
was really
Poodoo.
funny.
In that little voice. And while they're talking back and forth, and of course, Grief is trying to translate and putting in. It is so funny.
Uh-huh.
And then Grogu decides that he can't stand it anymore. This guy is so cute, and so he grabs the little Anzellan and tries to hug him. And the
Hmm.
little Anzellan says, "No squeezy, no squeeze, bad baby, bad baby." And Mando's trying to extricate the
Uh-huh.
Anselm from, he's trying to say, don't do that, don't do that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, he's young.
This is like every parent, imagine you go to like Easter, yeah, Easter's coming up, and
Uh,
sometimes there are like little petting zoos and you got little ducklings or, little rabbits, and your kid goes to, yank up, your little toddler goes to yank up a little, one of those tiny little animals. You're like, oh, like you have to stop them, but also not not hurt, the animal. And so, yeah,
it's,
oh, it's so
so
funny.
so cute. And Anselm, again, Anselm says, no squeezy, no squeeze. Bad baby. He's a bad baby.
And it's funny because he separates, Mando separates the two, and then Grogu, toward the end of the scene, tries to go back in and and pick him up again. No, no. uh, so yeah, it's very funny.
Really cute stuff. Poo, I think I understand that word in any language, right? Poo poo. That is, it was
So yeah,
just,
there's more work to be done on IG. We'll see what happens.
yeah, just
Um,
can't do it. So they Again, we cut to them. Well, they obviously, say their goodbyes.
Hmm.
We're flying to Kalevala, which is a planet in the Mandalorian system, still looking for somebody who might be able to fix IG-11 because Mando is determined to return to
Hmm.
Mandalore. Mando and Grogu, they leave. They're flying in one star fighter, and they're immediately surrounded by Vane and his men out in space. So the
Hmm.
pirate, in typical pirate fashion, they're waiting to ambush him
Yeah.
out in space. They're still hacked, and so they're out there, and they essentially come up on him and say, we're not finished with you. You killed all my men, and they battle through this asteroid field.
Yeah.
Um, and they're fighting, and Mando does some pretty sweet flying here
Oh yeah.
to avoid the asteroids and Vane, and causes some of the pirates to crash their ships into the asteroids, and so he
Uh-huh.
does some. This N1 starfighter.
It gets them with the old, they keep flying around, and he, parked it behind an asteroid, and then he's behind them.
Yeah.
It's a, kind of chase sequence, kind of a go-to move.
And I heard Princess Leia in my head as she told Han Solo, "You're not actually flying into an asteroid field, are you?" And they actually do it. And so finally, Captain Gorian Shard's ship comes into view.
Yeah, it's
And
interesting. So because he pushes them out, they are successful in driving Mando toward the ship.
yes,
This large, very cool, interestingly shaped ship.
Yeah, we get to see some new new ships and buildings and things in this. Really cool.
Yeah. And the other thing too, like Gorian Shard's character, kind of, they end up showing what he looks like. He kind of looks like almost like a Swamp Thing-esque looking character. I mean, he looks like he's like covered in seaweed essentially.
He does. He does.
And so that was interesting. It's funny because one of my buddies that's a big Star Wars fan, he's like, man, he's like somehow I wish they could have inserted Jack Sparrow into that role somehow found a way to fandangle tie Jack Sparrow into this role here.
He keeps kind of popping up. He's there. He's here in spirit. It would seem.
And so,
but, and basically, Mando's just not having any of it. He's just not having any of it.
He successfully evades them.
He successfully evades them and presses the little red button, and they head off.
Sublight thrusters.
Sublight thrusters and this thing has some juice. It will accelerate. And so Mando,
kid, never trust the pirate.
and I'm thinking savvy.
Mm-hmm.
So Mando is instructing Grogu. We see him, telling him, how to navigate.
He's giving him tips on how to be a Mandalorian.
Yeah. And so he says, the lesson from this encounter is, kid, never trust a pirate. So, so they escape, and they go to Kalevala, which is a planet in the Mandalore system, and it's apparently homeworld to House Kryze.
Mm-hmm. So it would seem. So he said, and this is the Mandalorian castle. So that's pretty cool to see.
Pretty cool, yeah, pretty cool. And as it turns out, it's the Kryze, Clan Kryze, and bo-katan is lounging. As they get out, it's raining really hard. Interestingly, and they get out. And they enter the castle. This big long corridor that leads to. You can see bo-katan, sitting on the. And I was excited to see her so early in the series. She's like lounging lazily.
Her hair looks better in this scene than we've seen her previously.
Yes, her hair it does. Her hair looks much better, and she's really pretty, which is good because Katie Sackhoff really looks great as bo-katan. Her
and
armor
again, it's really cool that she was able to bring this character into live action since she actually voiced the character in Clone Wars. So
yeah, yeah.
really, really neat opportunity there.
Oh yeah, fantastic, and she does such a good job with it. And Katie Sackhoff loves this role. She
Yeah.
absolutely loves that she gets to do Bo-Katan
Uh-huh.
in live action. But
Um,
Bo-Katan has obviously
the body
um,
language, it was one thing
uh-huh.
that just
She's just
completely stuck out
yeah,
to me without saying anything necessarily.
yeah,
I think her body language said a whole lot
yeah,
in this
definitely.
scene, and that she doesn't hardly even move at all, other than speaking. Like the rest of her body, she's just kind of laying there like prone, like
Yeah.
kicked out to the
She's
side, kind of
just
leaned back.
dejected.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just pretty much dejected and she's given up. You know, he approaches her and tells her that you know, he wants to join her to retake Mandalore, as
Hmm.
she has asked him several times before in the past to join
Uh-huh.
her and her plans to retake Mandalore. And she tells him there's nothing left to join.
Yeah.
That when she returned without the Darksaber, her forces left her. And but she does, which is obviously why she's so discouraged. But she does ask him if he still has the saber.
Uh-huh.
She is still curious about the saber.
Yeah.
So he tells her that he does still have it, but that he wants to go to the mines to bathe in the mines. And, you know, she tells him, "You're a fool because there's
Hmm.
nothing magical about
Yeah.
the mines." They have this discussion again. You know, she says that his cult, the Children of the Watch, gave up on Mandalore long before the purge. And where were you back then? You know, where were
Hmm.
you back then when we were still fighting for our planet? She says that the Children of the Watch fractured their people. Now, I found this conversation interesting because you know, hers is the more progressive cult, if you will, of
Yeah.
Mandalorians with their helmets. They're not as superstitious
Yeah.
or, you know, religious. Um, but we have to also remember that she was a member of the Death Watch
Yeah.
and actually fought
It's like an
against
extremist
first
group of
an
Mandalorians.
extremist group. You know, here she is accusing, you know, his cult or his
Uh-huh.
sect of destroying Mandalore when a member of an extremist group and you know, actually went up against her own sister, Duchess Satine.
Yeah.
All of this is, you know, is chronicled in the Clone Wars. So you know, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, who was more destructive, you know,
Uh-huh.
for Mandalore because
Yep.
she was pretty extreme herself.
Yeah.
So kind of the pot calling the
And
kettle. It's
she does tell him where the mines are located on the planet,
yeah,
because I mean
yeah, it's
Mando, that's the other thing, Mando was a foundling in that, like, he was not born on Mandalore.
mhm,
He was raised as a child of the Watch.
yes,
We see,
yes,
so it's very interesting. We see him saved. That flashback sequence. We see him saved by members of the Watch. So it's she tells him where to go, and I think this the way that she ends the conversation, as the Mandalorian's leaving, and she just kind of says goodbye, Din Djarin. It kind of
she
makes it,
does. She kind
to
of
me,
dismisses
the
him.
the
Yeah,
tone sounds like we haven't seen the last of each other. Our business isn't done, per se.
yeah.
Uh,
She does. Yeah, she tells him. You know,
uh-huh.
even though she calls him a fool and says
Yeah.
there's nothing magical about those waters, she does tell him that the mines are beneath the civic center in the city
Hmm.
of Sundari. So, um, you know, she finds out. You know, we find out that she has given up at
Yeah.
this point on retaking Mandalore. B, he is not going to be turned away from his quest. He is still going.
Hmm.
She finds out that he still has the Darksaber, and that's about it. You know,
Yeah.
for this encounter, it's short and
Yeah.
sweet, but a lot is said, and they both kind of establish where, they're, this is where I am, this is where
Mm-hmm.
I am, and she says, that the end of the scene, the end of the episode, she says goodbye, Din Djarin. So
Mm-hmm.
she's very discouraged by the events of last season when she couldn't recover the Darksaber, but she lost it to Mando.
Yeah.
And she's basically given up any hope of retaking Mandalore at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what it's at this point, what is she the leader of?
Right.
She's alone in this giant castle, this
Yes.
giant ornate, fancy
Yes.
castle, and it's just her.
Yes. And she is a princess. I mean,
Yeah.
she does have claim and has actually
Yeah.
for a short,
Genealogical claim. Yeah.
she has a genealogical claim on the throne. So, she's just very dejected.
Yeah.
In this scene. So,
Yeah. Morale is at an all-time low
yes, yes, yes.
for her.
Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of where it ends. It's only a 35-minute episode. It ends, and you're just really wanting more, and they cut us off. But IMDb, Internet Movie Database.com. It's imdb.com. If you're not familiar with it, it's a great resource. Users rated this episode a 7.6 out of 10, which I thought was a little bit low.
Boo, hiss.
I thought it was,
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit low.
Yeah, I think that's a poodoo rating.
I think it's poodoo. I absolutely do. That's my new buzzword, is that's poodoo. But as far as questions, speculation, William, what did you think about this episode, and what
I'm very excited to see where we're going. Obviously there's going to be some sort of tie or mention of Ahsoka, what she has going on. She's trying to track down Grand Admiral Thrawn. We know that.
Yes.
She said as much previously. That's where Rebels leaves off, and that's she's asking about Grand Admiral Thrawn's whereabouts in the Magistrate episode.
Yeah, I think we'll see her.
And so we'll definitely see her. I feel like they've got to kind of set the scene, set the stage for the Ahsoka show. Who knows who else we might see? Maybe we'll see Boba. Maybe we'll see Mayfeld. Who knows who we'll see?
Yeah, can see Luke again.
I definitely don't think this is the last we see of bo-katan, for sure.
Oh no, no. I think we're gonna see, and maybe and then maybe
maybe Sabine.
Sabine
Wren from Rebels also.
There you go.
Which she was working with Ahsoka to try and find Ezra Bridger and Grand Admiral Thrawn at the end of Rebels. So that's where we're at.
And it's highly likely, I think, that we would see Ahsoka and Sabine as a jump off point for segue to the Ahsoka series, which is set to premiere sometime in the fall of this year. So really looking forward to it.
Could we see Luke Skywalker? Could we see, who knows who we'll see?
Yeah.
All I know is I'm really excited. No doubt if we're headed to Mandalore, we're going to see some more Mandalorians at some point. We feel pretty confident, in expecting that. We'll see, what's next? If Din Djarin goes and bathes in the waters and is restored, what comes after that? Because we've Grogu's still with him. What comes next?
It is exciting, Angela. I'm looking forward to it. I think at some point we will definitely see her challenge him for the saber.
Yeah.
I think at some point she will. She'll realize that all is not lost, and she will take up her quest again to oh, hey Mark, good to see you.
Show a bit of resolve. And
yes, I think she'll come out of her coma and challenge him for the saber at some point, because she's just too ambitious to give up completely on this thing. So she'll come out of her coma, and we'll see Bo-Katan at her best soon. I think we will.
Yeah.
So
I do wonder, we did not see lightsaber training occur between Grogu and Luke. And so I do wonder if some figure will emerge at some point to show Mando how to wield the Darksaber. And there's a scene in Rebels where Kanan Jarrus teaches Sabine Wren, he's telling her you're fighting against the blade is one of the things that he says, and we see some of that in the fight between Paz Vizsla and Mando, that he's fighting against the blade, and and it looks heavy is what it looks like. We see that, and that as he's fighting those guys, he gets injured, cuts his leg. He's fighting those guys, and then
the Darksaber. The Darksaber is a special weapon.
Yeah,
it's not your typical lightsaber for sure.
Angela says, "Sorry, I have to drop. She's got a meeting. I have a meeting also." Yeah, all I can say is I'm really excited. Mom, I want to let you wrap it up because I've got to jump off from a meeting.
Okay, yeah,
but
I'm gonna
great first episode. I'm thrilled to see where the show goes because I just love the Mandalorian. It's great. So anyway,
looking forward to more episodes.
May the Force be with you all. Don't forget to check us out again next week as we talk about the next chapter of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll go ahead and hop
Thanks,
off.
William.
All right, love you, Mom.
All righty, love you. Okay, so we'll just wrap it up here, guys. Just a couple of recommendations on Disney Plus. The Clone Wars essential episodes. We always recommend that you guys watch the Clone Wars and also Rebels. But the Clone Wars essential episodes are grouped on Disney Plus. So you can go back, if you haven't watched those yet, and watch episodes that they have cherry-picked from the whole series. And there are 7 seasons of the Clone Wars that will give you the most meat and help you to understand what happened. It's like the most important episodes. Also, the Disney Gallery on Disney Plus, Disney Gallery, Star Wars: The Mandalorian. It's a documentary on the making of the Mandalorian. If you guys like to dive into stuff like that, there's a roundtable discussion with the directors, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and several of the directors, and they go back and talk about how they make the Mandalorian. They talk about the technical side of it. They talk about the creative side. They're brainstorming for when they first, what they wanted the Mandalorian to look like and feel like. There's even an excellent series that's dedicated to the music, and that is Ludwig Göransson does the music, and that's a really fun episode where he talks about developing the music and the scores then for each individual episode. You can also find the music for The Mandalorian if you want to listen to it. I listen to it. I love it, and so I listen to it. You can find it on Amazon and Spotify. I'm not sure about Pandora, but you can probably find it on Pandora too. So you can find those scores if you want to listen to it. It's really good stuff. It's orchestral, full orchestra in many cases, especially with the theme and some of the tunes that that are more recognizable to us. So by all means, check those out. Let's see if I can catch up in the chat here. Episode 17 was really good to suck us back in, get us all excited, and it was a lot of fun. They put some fun stuff in that. I enjoyed seeing seeing Grief Karga. Yeah, it was just really good. Thanks guys so much for everybody that popped in. If you're watching on the replay, we really appreciate you too. I know that my sister Susan is going to be watching on the replay, and enjoy if you're there. We appreciate it. But next week, I'm going to be traveling, guys. We may have to reschedule. Now, the thumbnail was already up for next week's episode. We may have to reschedule that, maybe move it to Wednesday. I'm not sure. So watch for that. We'll probably announce our decision on Hitchhiker Chat on Tuesday night. But I will be traveling. I'm going to have a Walt Disney World trip on March the 18th. I will be at Walt Disney World for the D23 Gold Member preview of Tron. And so I am really excited about that. Looking forward to getting onto the grid for the first time. Really looking forward to that. I'm excited. And then I'll be at Epcot on St. Patrick's Day. And I'll schedule some other live streams for that trip. So watch for those. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. I know many times we get some new viewers with this content. And so consider subscribing. Leave a comment, let us know if there's anything we left out or, new information. We love this stuff. But give us a subscribe and a like, and ring that bell so that you know when we go live or upload a new video, because there may be some pop-up streams on my trip, and that's next week. So we'll review episode 2 next week. It's already out. It's called The Mines of Mandalore. It is excellent. I've already watched it. So we'll let you know when we're going to do that. We may back that up to Wednesday because next Thursday I will be traveling. So, thanks, Angela, so much. We appreciate it. I keep wondering if the Mandalorian music will have a way to words like Boba Fett. Could be. Irene keeps trying to hear the words, yeah. And they did add words, yeah, to the Book of Boba Fett score. But yeah, thanks so much. I'm looking forward to it. And Tina, thank you for reminding everybody to smash that like button. Definitely do that. But yes, we're going to be there for the 16th through the 20th. In Walt Disney World. So watch for those live streams. Let's see if there's anything else that I need. Oh, yes. Hitchhiker Chat. We go live for our regular weekly show. It's called Hitchhiker Chat. It happens on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. And so, join us for that. We cover Disney news, the parks news, all things Disney. And so join us for that. Again, it's on Tuesdays, regular show on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for joining us. We have spoken, guys, and we're looking forward to, the rest of the episodes. There are 8 episodes in season 3. So 2 have dropped already. And so we still have 6 to go. And I hope they do longer episodes. Like this first one was only 35 minutes. The second episode, I think, is like 45 minutes. And that extra 10 minutes is really noticeable. So we hope that they keep giving us the longer episodes, because we just want more of this. But thanks for joining us for lunch, guys. Lot to do to get ready for my trip. I did want to show you guys this. I bought this a while back. This is a little 98 Lego puzzle. It's Mando and the Razor Crest. So I'll put that together at some point and show you a little Lego piece. It's one of the minis. And so I'm looking forward to putting that together. And also, this is something that I got for Christmas, and this is just adorable. It's a little Bluetooth speaker. It's a bitty boomer, and it's a little Grogu mini speaker. And I love these. I love to take these when I travel, and I love to listen to music and what have you. So that's it's a little bitty boomer. We got these at Sam's, and I think you can still find these. So you can see that that's Grogu. And I have one. This one has not been taken out of the box, but I have one that I use, and I keep these around strategically in the house so that I can listen to music. But those are fun. And I may try to do this. May try to put this together before next week. I don't know. I'm getting ready for my trip, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it or not. But if I can, I'd love to. Maybe I could do this. I don't know. It probably wouldn't be good to do on the plane because all those little pieces would like go everywhere. So I may not do it until after after I get back. But I also have another little surprise thing that I'm going to do as well. So, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. It's Star Wars. Star Wars related. And Dean says you have the Bitty Boomer. Oh, cool. You have that. I like these. I really like these. And if you have several, you can link them, so that like as you move from, from room to room, you can listen to your music. So yeah, he shipped from the season. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, thanks guys for joining us. And if you have any questions, email us at thehitchhikingbones@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we really appreciate you being here today. Look forward to spending some more time with you next week in Walt Disney World for our Tron preview and, whatever live streams I can put together for that. Whatever live streams I can put together for that. But thanks again. May the force be with you. At the Shuck and Bones YouTube channel, there is always room for one more. So please hurry back. Have a great week. May the force be with you. We'll see you again next week. And join us for Hitchhiker Chat on Tuesday night for some more Disney content. Thanks, guys.